Hey there, and welcome to the America First Policy Institute's weekly rundown, coming to you from our headquarters right here in Washington, D.C. I'm excited to share some highlights from our amazing policy experts' media appearances this week. Every week, we tackle the big issues facing our nation, always with a focus on putting America and Americans first. AFPI is at the forefront of important conversations about border security, national defense, economic freedom, and supporting American families. First up is Chad Wolf, Executive Vice President and Chair of our Center for Homeland Security and Immigration. Appearing on Fox Business, Chad emphasized the importance of prosecuting those who target ICE agents and the need for law and order on our streets.
Well, I think that's what law enforcement is going to take a look at. Hopefully the FBI and others are involved here, because it could just be local, right? It could just be they were inspired by what they've seen and read, mainly being espoused by Democratic members of Congress and elsewhere about ICE officers. That's one thing, but it could obviously be part of a larger plot, part of a larger national movement here. But I think the most important thing is holding these individuals accountable and making sure that there's no plea deals, that they are fully prosecuted, because I think in this case, you have to send a signal that this isn't okay, that you're not going to get a slap on the wrist. Look, you're trying to kill individuals and law enforcement officers. And that means real consequences here. So hopefully the Department of Justice, and I know they will be, and others are going to take this very seriously.
Brooke Rollins, now serving as Secretary of Agriculture and formerly AFPI's President and CEO, joined Laura Ingraham to announce a major step forward for America First Agriculture. She highlighted the administration's bold National Farm Security Action Plan to block Communist China from buying U.S. farmland.
We had a wonderful event this morning announcing this. I had Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem, Defense Pete Hegseth, had AG Pam Bondi. We had 3 of the country's best governors. We had several people from the Hill. This is an all-of-government approach.
What does that mean?
Well, what that means is that if we're going to really ban China from buying our farmland or any foreign adversaries, it's got to be the states have to lean in, the federal government has to step up. We've got to have executive orders out of the White House.
A law?
There's a law needs to be passed. A lot of bills have been filed, but it hasn't moved. I don't know that America really understands, or at least our elected officials.
How was this allowed,
recently.
though? China owns Smithfield Foods, one of the largest food processing plants in the United States, land near military bases. I've covered this for 20 years.
Well, it's now all changes today. I mean, today we, for the first time, are saying no more. Banning the sale of China farmland, working with the states, getting the bills passed through Congress, having an executive order, but also, Laura, looking at how to potentially claw some of that back, especially that's a national security issue.
AFPI's Executive Legal Counsel Jessica Hart Steinmann joined the Gains for Girls podcast to break down AFPI's new lawsuit against the state of Oregon for violating Title IX and suppressing free speech. She and a group of courageous female student athletes are taking a stand for fairness in women's sports.
You've just been such a champion for girls' sports, and honestly, at AFPI, in this lawsuit specifically, you've just been so helpful, and I know our girls feel the same way. So America First Policy Institute, we filed a lawsuit against the Department of Education in Oregon for having boys and girls sports. And our ladies here today, they were courageous and stood up for what they knew was right. Title IX is now being weaponized against them. On top of that, Reese is going to talk about it a little later, but there are actually clear First Amendment violation issues. Our girls, they're losing access to the podium, to the medal, to scholarships. And now on top of that, from this last state championship, they're now being sidelined. Their viewpoints are being suppressed. And so it's so simple. We'll get into this in more detail, but the solution is very simple. We need more girls to be courageous like these 3 girls are. And honestly, our leaders in the state, specifically here, the state of Oregon, we need them to be courageous and stand up for what they know is right and say no boys and girls sports.
On Newsmax, Fred Fleitz, vice chair of our Center for American Security, explained how President Trump's personal diplomacy is influencing global conflict resolution. He called for strong sanctions and a unified national security team to support Israel and check Russian aggression.
It's certainly more likely than it was a couple of weeks ago. Trump is putting pressure on Netanyahu to make concessions he may not have made before. One of them, for example, may be allowing Hamas leaders to leave Gaza and go into exile in another country. That's something Netanyahu was not willing to consider before. The problem is the Hamas has not accepted this peace plan. I think you made that pretty good. You described it pretty well in your introduction. The media is saying Hamas did accept it. Since it has these major changes it once made, it has not accepted this plan. And I think these are deal breakers for Israel. We're going to have to get Qatar and Egypt to put real pressure on Hamas to come around, because I think Israel's ready to deal, but I don't think Hamas is.
President Trump and Vladimir Putin appear to be in a kind of a stalemate here when it comes to making progress. The president trying to put the pressure on with tariffs or something, I guess, at this point. It's a little frustrating, I think, now for Americans to see what's going on there. And Trump, I think, is getting very frustrated, obviously. He thought, I think, personal diplomacy and appeals to Putin would work. That certainly hasn't happened. What do you think the response from Moscow will be if Trump really does, kind of squeeze the neck a little bit?
I think energy sanctions are coming, followed by economic sanctions. I'm hoping eventually Trump's personal diplomacy with Putin will pay off. I'm hoping Trump's increased credibility on the global stage after he bombed Iran will also have an effect. And the Russians are going to be angry if Trump provides the weapons that supposedly were paused a week ago or so.
Finally, Jacob Olidort, director of the Center for American Security, reminded Americans to stay vigilant following the end of the Israel-Iran 12-day war. His expert analysis on News Nation breaks down Iran's post-ceasefire threats and how our communities can help keep the homeland safe.
That's correct. Our celebrations this year, and we shouldn't forget to celebrate and be with family and have a good time. But of course, they come amid a very transitional and a historic moment in the Middle East, one where caution is always is never a bad idea. But, Iran has claimed this as a victory, out of place, of course, the ceasefire that currently took place. But we know that they are still trying to cause damage, to inflict harm, to terrorize. And so we can't urge it too carefully to be on alert, to be vigilant as you gather, especially in large crowds, large cities. It's always the high target environment.
That wraps up this week's America First Policy Institute Weekly Rundown. Thank you so much for tuning in. We hope that you found these insights from our policy experts valuable. Let us know your thoughts and feedback in the comment section below, and don't forget to like and share this video. Be sure to subscribe to our channel so you never miss an important update on the America First agenda. For more information on our policies and initiatives, visit americafirstpolicy.com.